The clearance is a sacrifice used on the chessboard to vacate a square which allows to open lines of attack. It's as if you were substituting a piece that is hindering your attack, so that is not good for your attack, by a piece that is good and useful for your attack. So you sack off the piece that's hindering your attack to allow the opening of the piece that is functional to your attack. Here's an example to show you what I'm talking about. In this position, the white pieces have a piece that is hindering their attack. The rook on f7. It would like to do checkmate on h7, but it just can't. So the white pieces are going to vacate this f7 square by taking it off of f7 and plunging that rook on f8, clearing this rook, giving it away for free. Here, black have two options, bishop takes or rook takes. If the bishop takes this rook here, it prevents this rook from defending the g8 square. And now we have this battery lined up to play queen g8 checkmate. The other variation here, rook takes. And now we have opened the lines to this f7 and g8 squares here on the king side. We can play the queen sacrifice, queen g8. And here you are forcing black's hand to take your queen. And once that's done, we can just come back in with knight f7 with a forced checkmate. In this video, I'll give you 10 levels of the clearance sacrifice with 10 puzzles that are incrementally hard to test your knowledge, to test your calculation, and to overall make you a better player and get this skill in your toolkit. Here are the 4 keywords that I will keep repeating throughout this video: vacate, open lines, hindering, and useful. So here we have level 1. ELO 0 to 500. Pause the video to solve the problem. It is black to play in this position. I hope you solved it. For this problem, we have a video answer. So here it goes.
Esto, atacó la torre. Esa no la vi. Uf, qué trucazo me metió. No, qué trucazo.
So as you saw in that crushing video, Del Nogal, who has the white pieces here, gets played on himself. The solution, knight f3. The knight vacates the d4 square to open the line of this d file. Very key move to check the king. And here the knight takes up h2, so that if the king goes to f1 or h1, there is still checkmate on the bottom line. So the white pieces are forced to take this knight. And now this rook slides down to d1 and checkmates the king beautifully. Here is level number 2, ELO 500 to 800. Best of luck. Here it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I hope you solved it. This was a little bit harder. We're just incrementally making it harder every time. In this position, if you found queen takes e5, you are absolutely correct. In this position, it was important to clear, vacate this f6 square. So here we take out a piece that's hindering our attack and we sacrifice our queen for this rook on e5. If the black pieces play anything else, then takes, they're down a rook, so this would not be in their intent. So we're assuming that the black pieces are going to take back, and in this position, we have just replaced a hindering piece, our queen, right, the best piece of the board, for a useful piece now in this attack. And this knight comes into this attack with knight f6 check on the king, producing a triple royal fork. And the consensus of this is that we have won a full rook in this position, and that is entirely decisive. Here is level number 3, ELO 800 to 1000. I hope you can solve this one and move on to the next level. Here it is white to play and win. Best of luck. If you are between the ranges of 800 ELO and 1000 ELO and you solve this, I'm very, very impressed. Congrats. Because this is a pretty tough problem to solve. It could have taken you 1 to 3 to even 5 minutes if you paused the video and took as much time as you wanted. In this position, you wanted to find, with the white pieces, queen to g7. Threatening mate. We are mimicking mate with the queen on g7, which allows and forces bishop takes g7. So we have baited this bishop, potentially a decoy we could say, learned from last video. If you haven't seen that video, it's gonna be up here. And so the bishop takes, and now we get to clear our hindering pawn on the h-file that has blocked our rook from checking this king to do h takes g7 check, discovered check on this king. The king is forced backwards to g8. And now our rook defends this pawn magically, and this pawn defends our rook magically with rook h8 checkmate in 3 moves. Let's move on to level 4. Welcome to level 4. In this problem, I have taken a game from 1971 played in Denmark by 2 lesser known grandmasters. So I really dug into the archives for this one. It is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem and find the clearance sacrifice. In this position, the white pieces played the beautiful knight g8. And here we are clearing the f-file for our rook to hit on f7. Let's start with rook takes g8, accepting the sacrifice. In this position, white has rook takes f7, so now this rook becomes a useful piece in the attack, which forces the king to e8. And once this king is on e8, we have this rook lined up perfectly on the d file, this rook taking up everything on the f file, and this bishop suddenly being useful as well to this attack and preparing a discovered check on the king. This rook will go to a7 with a discovered check. The king will have to go to f8, and then we have a back rank checkmate with this rook d8 check, forcing the queen to d8, only move, queen e8, sorry, and then rook takes e8, checkmate. There are other variations, so let's explore them. Here, the black pieces could go to e8 with the king or f8. So if king f8, we have rook takes f7, nothing has changed here. If you take the knight, I have rook d8, And if queen e8, you take, and then bishop there, and this is completely over with checkmate. And if you go to e8, I have rook f1 with checkmate here on the king, discovered checkmate, very, very nice. So, okay, the king must go here, let's say, and then we have bishop takes f7, super, super nice tactic. So king f8, and then we go rook d8 check. The queen is forced on to e8, and then we just take, and this is defended with checkmate. Welcome to level 5. This is ELO's 1250 to 1500. We're already almost halfway. There is a final boss actually. There's 11 levels today. In this position, it is white to play and win. Find the clearance sacrifice. I'll give you a minute. So you should have found the clearance rook h8 check. And the reason why we're doing this stupid seeming rook, giving out our only attacking piece, is that after king takes h8, we have rook h1, king g8, and now we do it all again. Rook h8 check, clearing this rook and vacating this square on h1 to again open up this line on the attack on this king with check. So if king takes, now we have queen h1 check, and there's a catch here. There's something different. With this check, the king is forced to go to g8, right? And with this, we now have queen h7 checkmate. And this is only because we could vacate these two first rooks and clear them off the board to vacate this h1 square for our queen to then open up the attack on this king with check to then checkmate the king. Welcome, welcome to level 6. If you've made it this far, you're more than halfway in, and congratulations, keep on going. But this one is quite tough. It is 1500 elo to 1800 elo. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. This one is also absolutely breathtaking because we are clearing not one, but two pieces in this solution. White first has to go knight e7 check. You see, we have two undesirable pieces, this knight and this rook, blocking all lines to attack. This rook is blocking the h file. This knight is blocking this diagonal. So let's see how we clear these pieces and win the game. Knight e7 does check, so forces an outcome on the black pieces and opens up this bishop on this diagonal. Black are forced to take because otherwise it's checkmate. So after queen takes, in this position, you have to find to clear the second piece in this position, this rook, that is also hindering our position, and now rook h8 check. So king takes, and now you have the vacated h5 square, the vacated h7 square, and this lines up for this beautiful checkmate. Queen h5 check, king g8 is forced, there's no other block, and now we have queen h7 check, king f7, and here it looks like the king is escaping, but no. We have opened up this line for the bishop on g6 and h7. We have bishop g6, checkmate, taking up all of the light squares here. And here I will also accept this other forced mate, although, yeah, it's fine. Bishop h7, king here, bishop g6, king g8, and queen h7 check. This is also a forced line. If you have said this as well, you passed the problem. This is level 7. Find the clearance sacrifice and win the game. White to play in this position. Pause the video to solve the problem. Here we have bishop a6 first. Always sacrifice the small material first. Here we are pinning this bishop to the rook and threatening this bishop that's undefended. So after this bishop takes, now we have cleared off a square that allows us to clear off more squares for this diagonal. This is what we want to clear off. So we proceed with our second clearance. Knight e takes g5, and now we have cleared a second and vacated a second square to open up this diagonal, which is the line of attack used here, threatening checkmate on h7 with the queen, right? Helped by our knight and rook here. So we're threatening checkmate two ways. If you take my knight, my rook helps my queen with checkmate, and this doesn't work out for black. Here, there is a way for black to defend by making some air for this king, by outing this f8 square. So let's say rook f d8, and now if I place my queen on h7, let's say queen h7 check, the king can escape to f8, and we don't have any checkmates here. This bishop defends everything. So here we have to play in what we saw from last video of this same type of series, the decoy. And so it's the same tactic from, I think, level 7, if my memory is extremely sharp. From level 7 in the decoy video, we have this rook h8 tactic, attracting both these pieces to go to this square on h8. If the king goes to h8, we have queen h7 checkmate. And if this bishop takes on h8, we have queen h7 check, king f8, and then queen h8 checkmate. And that is level 7. Level 8 is a tactic I'm very excited about. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem, find the clearance. You should have found the solution rook takes b5. And this is one of the more uncommon clearances. Here we are clearing the rook somehow. It's really hard to find this problem. If you found it, major respect. We are clearing the b1 square for this queen to activate. And so here after rook takes b5, the black pieces take back, and here you should have found the incredible move. Rook c8, a superb double deflection. And basically, what this move does is it deflects either the queen or the rook. The queen defends this d4 square from our queen, right? And this rook defends this a1 square from our queen. If queen takes rook on c8, we have mate in 4 with queen d4 check. Okay, black are going to attempt with e5, bishop takes check, same result, right? Rook takes, queen takes check, king g8, and then knight h6, and with a stunning checkmate. If the rook takes, however, queen a1 check on this king. And now we're using the grand diagonal to checkmate this king. And black are absolutely useless here. They can sack all they want. Rook c3, queen takes c3, queen d4, queen takes d4. e5, bishop takes e5. And if any time along the way, king g8, then we have knight h6. Rook takes e5, queen takes e5, check, king here, and checkmate. Now here's the kicker. On rook c8, there is a third secret variation. Black can hold the fort with queen d5. And the idea here is that if you simply take my rook, you are losing to checkmate on the king on h2. This is why it's such a crucial variation, so that you find your opponent's resources and play against them. In this position, you had to find queen h1 check. It's phenomenal. You are checking the king, but not only that, you are deflecting this rook off of the defense of this 8th rank. This is a mathematical problem. And so here, if you take my queen, we have this very special checkmate. Rook takes f8 check, forces the king to g7, bishop h6 checkmate. Welcome to level 9, ELO's 2200 to 2400. It is white to play and win in this position. Find the clearance and win the game. Pause the video to solve the problem. White to play. In this position, it was important that you found the clearance move e4, clearing this undesired pawn, vacating this e3 square to go to e4 to open the line of the 3rd rank for this g3 square. There are 3 noticeable variations. First of all, the white pieces are sacrificing the exchange. I feel like we should look at that first. If bishop takes f1, we are playing rook g3 check, which forces this king to h8. Again, you can't go to f7. And now we have queen h5. Again, you can't take this knight. This should have been observed in analysis. Because I take your queen, this pawn is pinned. Here we are threatening knight g6 check, forking the rook and king. And then once the king moves, we'll take the rook or do another discovery. And it's very, very hurting. Variation number 2 is f takes e4. Here we have queen g4 check, king h8, and now rook g3, and we're straight up threatening checkmate. If you defend, let's say queen e7, then we have knight g6 check, which should have been found. The idea here is that it's not a clearance here, you're just sacrificing to open lines. But after h takes g6, queen takes g6, and we're threatening a lot of mates. We're threatening queen h6 check, we're threatening bishop takes f6, and here it's very, very, very tough, impossible to defend. Let's say queen f7 to try to defend and trade queens. Now we have bishop takes f6 check, deflecting the queen off of h7, queen takes f6, queen h5 check, right, forcing this queen to h6, and now we can take with checkmate. And this is completely over. There is a 3rd and final variation. Oh, there's also king h8. So there's 4 variations, but if you found 3 of the 4 variations, I'll give you 4 points. You move on to the next level. If d takes e4 here we're taking with the d pawn, rook g3 check, same as the bishop takes f1 variation pretty much, king h8, queen h5 with the same threat, although now you should have found bishop e8, attacking this queen and defending this g6 square. And now we have queen h6, since this bishop is not defended anymore, threatening checkmate on f8. I think I said this bishop is not defended, this rook is not defended on f8. We're threatening mate here. And so the only moves that you can really play is queen d6 and queen e7. If you go to d6, I think I have mate. So you have to play queen e7 to defend the rook and mate here. And now we have the very special move. This looks like it holds for black, by the way. We have nothing else except for this move, and that is rook c1, which is why this puzzle is so hard. 2200 to 2400 ELO, this is all of it. Rook c1 to go rook c7, and that's the only threat, and that's all you need in this position. That's all you need to deflect the queen, very sensitive queen, off of g7, off of f8. The black pieces fall like a deck of cards here. Let's give examples. Let's go rook d8, rook c7. If you take here, you're deflected off of f8, and we have queen takes f8 checkmate. If you play your queen out, we have checkmate, right? If you defend with rook here, I have rook c8. And now we're threatening to take here and deflect either your rook or your queen off of f6. And if bishop here, the bishop stops defending this alley, right? So we have knight g6 check, and now this pawn is pinned, so king here, knight takes a7, and then we have just, it's so mating. It's such a mate, you know? So GG's. Finally, if king h8, we have queen h5, that just threatens a simple knight f7 or knight g6, both checks that win the exchange. And here the best move is like taking to take this queen here. But let's say bishop e8 to attack the queen. We have queen h6 with the same repetition of threats. It's the same thing. Welcome to level 10. In this level, you'll be met with your greatest match so far. Black played queen e7 here, and it is your challenge to find this insanely hard clearance tactic. Pause the video to solve the problem, 2400 plus elo. Best of luck. This was played against one of the best chess players ever to never become world chess champion. Back in the 1950s, the Soviets were so good that some of the greatest chess players of all time could not become world chess champions. And that is the case for David Bronstein, who has the black pieces here. He gets absolutely obliterated by Ratmir Kolmov with the white pieces. And here's what Kolmov surprised David Bronstein with. Knight c6. The idea here is that we want to take off this knight from e5 to vacate the e5 square. So this time we're vacating the opponent's square with our premature sacrifice. The knight is not a hindering piece in this problem. This is where you know where to break the rules. You get to a certain level when it's super high that you know when to break the rules of a certain sacrifice that much because you're that experienced. So knight c6. And here we are forking these two pieces. Okay, this knight is really well defended on e4. So let's say, for a quick example, the queen just moves, right? Here we have queen takes f8, and this is checkmate. So the queen can't just go anywhere. Okay, you say, Zach, we have queen e8. That still defends this rook. But now the queen is off of f6. And now we have queen takes f6 checkmate. So this queen needs to be here absolutely 100,000%. And so knight takes c6 is forced. And this vacates the e5 square. And now our useful piece, this e4 pawn, can come into the attack. And this is the clearance right here. e4 to e5, triple sacrifice. e5 has for idea to clear this diagonal extremely prematurely. The diagonal will be cleared in like 2 more moves. While sacrificing this pawn not once, not twice, 3 times, with 3 different outcomes. Let's look at them all. On knight takes e5, here this is cleared, but nothing has been done yet, though this has been taken up. So this has been cleared on e4. By the way, this entire time we're sacking a knight, which I didn't even realize till now. I don't know why. Yes, bishop g5 was played in the game, but knight takes e5, let's see here. Knight e4, and we're threatening this bishop. This bishop is a very sensitive piece in the black pieces. The bishop can't go far. It's really tough to defend this. If the bishop goes to g7, it's mate. If the bishop goes to g5, we take. Basically, this bishop is pretty much trapped. If this bishop goes to h4, it disconnects from g7 and it's mate as well. So the black pieces are in a bind. They have to pretty much give this up. So they give up a piece that's less preferred. And now we have knight takes f6, threatening checkmate, queen takes f6, and f takes g6. And we are very, very winning here. We are threatening checkmate. If you take this, we have bishop g2 with rook f1 coming on. And this is a crushing attack. By the way, this is all forced. It's really, really cool. If d takes e5, we have knight e4, which is surprisingly better because now there's no knight g6. It's the same idea. This bishop is absolutely confused out of its mind. It can't do anything good. Bishop g5 is check, so now knight takes g5 and we're threatening mate, and you can't really defend this. You can try. Knight takes h7 and we're threatening to discovery checkmate this king. If you take the knight, we have checkmate here on g8. Completely over. Finally, if bishop takes, now we can finally do our double clearance with f6 and open up this diagonal. We want to open up this diagonal because we have bishop e3 coming in that forces checkmate basically. If you take, I have bishop d3 that forces checkmate here. You have to give back material because you simply cannot defend this h7 square right here a second time. Bishop g5, rook takes g5, and now f6 opens this up. As I was saying before my camera cut out, sorry about that, here we are threatening to double these rooks on the g file and make an impressive attack. If like rook f7, we just have a very nice advantage with rook dg1, and this is considered enough for the white pieces. This is what happened in the game. Bronstein got made. Spoiler alert, after e5, bishop g5, sacking back the piece, rook takes, and now f6. E takes d, queen moves, and now rook g3. Again, the patience used to just use your pieces slowly but very, very surely. The knight is sacrificed on c4, as we saw previously, and now white just annihilates. And look at how this game just formulates itself in white winning the exchange, and then just winning a full rook here after the queen gives a bishop on a2, and that is all. That is level 10, 2400 plus. If you're ready, if you want it, there is a final boss. But let me warn you, even the engine on depth 16 cannot find this. You have to put it on a deep blue NNUE engine on chess.com with depth 99 for it to solve this last problem. Welcome to the final boss. In this position, it is a clearance tactic. This is a study, so it's completely fabricated, not from a real game. White to play and checkmate in 5 moves. This is very important. This is the only time I'll tell you the number of moves you need to checkmate in. Because if you checkmate in 7 moves, that is considered incorrect for a study. I should give this to Magnus Carlsen and just let him suffer, but we're gonna do that another day when I interview him. Here it is, white to checkmate in 5 moves. Best of luck. Okay, so as I told you, even the engine can find this, so if you didn't find it, you're just along for the ride and for fascinating chess. Here we have to play bishop a7, okay? So we are vacating the g1 square, so this forces the black pieces to promote on g1. Now, if you promote to a queen, it is mate in 3. Here there's b8 queen, checking this, and now this forces queen g2 because this is a discovered check on the king, and now we have any move here, knight e2, knight d3, anything that forces a queen move outside of this position. Queen takes, or queen e4, this queen is pinned, so anything along that diagonal, and now we just have checkmate. The better defense is on bishop a7, g1 rook, and we'll see why. Here, the mate in 5 pursues with this extraordinary move here, and it is b8. We can't promote to a queen here. It has to have a rook, because now, after discovered check on this rook here, this forces black to play rook g2, and now our third move as the white pieces, we have rook b6. And if it was a queen, this would not block this diagonal. That's the difference between a rook and a queen. The queen having more powers in this position makes it more vulnerable, so makes it more of a bad piece. This rook now can block this diagonal and free the outcome for the black pieces. So this king has to move, and has to move to g1, and this is a forced outcome. And now we have the only move, rook d6 check. If you go rook e6, I have king f1 and you can't mate me. So it's rook d6, discovered check. There's two variations. If rook f2, it doesn't matter, we're still taking up g2. And now this is pinned, we have just rook d1 checkmate here on the king. And if you go king f1, this knight here serves a purpose. In studies, the main clue is that every piece serves a function. This knight's only function is deep down on move 5 to serve as a take-up for this e2 square. And now we have rook d1 checkmate on the king. I hope you enjoyed this marvelous video on the clearance sacrifice. Thank you so much for watching The Chess Nerd. See you soon for another one of this series. I'm so excited for this. I think I'm gonna do every tactic, and as you guys follow along, it's gonna be super, super fun. So thank you so much for watching, and have a marvelous day.